Before I even asked them, said, oh, you're gonna hit the video, and then they were like, oh, there's an audio button. It can record what I say.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am here with Hannah Murphy. She is the art teacher at Ephesus Elementary. And we were going to just talk a little bit about some of the things that she's doing in her classes with technology, but also wanted to talk a little bit about just student creativity in general. So I've noticed that you draw from a wide variety of materials in your class, everything from Lego movie trailers to Rangoli sand paintings. So what is your process for inspiring student creativity?
So with the arts, one of the great things about our curriculum is that we are handed the standards, we're the North Carolina standards for the arts, but then we're sort of given this freedom to deliver the standards in a way that we feel works well with our population or that works well with our specific skill set. So given the standards, I'm able to then take it and say, okay, we can learn about this area. For example, with the Lego movie trailer, one of the standards that students are expected to understand is that you can use the arts as a career, and there are artists working and it's their job, and you can grow up to be working in the field of the arts. So we were looking at stop motion animation, and I showed them the Lego movie because I knew that most of them had either seen it or heard of it, and they were really excited about it. So obviously that gives them the motivation to then be invested in their projects. So I look a lot for things that I know will interest them or will excite them and get them motivated and personally invested in the project, and then I'm able to structure the lesson in lots of different ways in order to meet those standards and get them excited. I noticed when I was student teaching and doing my graduate school work, a lot of what you see in art classes is old white dudes. So I try to stay away from that as much as I can. I like to reflect artists that reflect our student population. So I try to highlight maybe more contemporary artists and much more diverse artists. That's something that I feel really strongly about. So I know that there is a place for the art history, and those parts are really important, and I do weave that into my curriculum, but I am also much more interested in doing more contemporary things and recognizing and highlighting artists that are much more diverse than the old white painters that you might see. So yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you find out what inspires them? How do you know a Lego trailer?
Being around 6, 7, 8-year-olds all day, you sort of just hear the rumors of what's happening, or you see it happening at lunch or at recess, or I'll walk out of the building on any given day and see a circle of 4th grade boys all with their little Pokemon cards playing. So it's a lot of the pop culture things that are happening, and my husband teases me because we will often go see kids movies in the theaters instead of seeing maybe something more that he wanted to see. But I like to keep up on that kind of thing.
How do you feel like what you do here can extend to other subjects, but also just the general intellectual development of your students?
Right. So this is probably more of a question about the arts in general, how it can be considered one of the core subjects that a student needs, because it is a different way of expressing and a different method of learning and a different kind of intelligence that a student can have. You might see a student come in and make a sculpture and just incredible how execution of the process that they're using and the things that they come up with that you might not see in a math class. Maybe that's something that they struggle with, but they can come in the art room and they can shine. But I also know that there is STEAM, the science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. Arts is a big component of that, but I was taught in grad school that art shouldn't be the handmaiden to the other the other fields, the other subjects. So instead of like serving and being like, okay, we'll do this thing that will add to your lesson, it should be this thing that we can integrate it and we can have it at the same level, and they're equally as important, and they're equally used as tools to be teaching what you're learning. For example, in second grade, they're doing the life cycles unit right now. So I've teamed with our second grade PLC to come up with a puppet show that they're creating as in small groups to show the life cycle of dogs, chickens, butterflies, and the mealworms. And so in the art class, we're going to be looking at the video called Austin's Butterfly, which shows how you can use your scientific eyes as an artist to create a drawing or a representation of the animal or creature that you're making. So they're going to be looking scientifically at the creature that they want to draw, and they're going to have a picture, and then they're going to be able to create a puppet focusing on those details that they know about it and the details that they see as an artist to create their puppet. And then they're going to take what they create in the art room back to the classroom, and they're going to use a green screen, and they're going to be recording the life cycle of their creature, and then they're going to be presenting and showing, and then that way they can teach the other students in their classroom. So for that, the arts is a really big part of that process, and it goes along with the scientific part that they're learning. So that's really exciting.
So tell us about an art project that your students worked on that integrated technology. How did you incorporate the use of technology into that project? Maybe this is another question, I don't know, but what is it important to blend the tactile with the digital in your teaching?
Yeah. So and you're going to ask later on about flipping the classroom, is that right?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
I guess I'll speak to the stop motion project that I did last year, because that was a lot of fun. And it was my first time doing it, so I learned a lot of things that I'm going to do differently next year.
Yeah.
So with the stop motion animation project, we used the iPads and a free stop motion app on the iPad. So what the students were able to do was develop a character and a simple plot line, and they worked with a partner to come up with their story and their characters. And then they were able to use the iPad, and we propped them up so that they could have their picture and their characters underneath the iPad and take a picture and move it and take a picture and move it. And then over the process of several weeks, create that story. And they could even go back while they were working and see the different parts moving, and they could see it coming to life as they were working. So it is important to blend the tactile, because I don't want them to lose that fine motor skills that we're working on. So it is part of a big picture. But they also know that there are artists, there's a lot of people out there working in the digital field, the digital arts field, whether it's animation, whether it's graphic design, what have you, whatever it might be. We go over some of those things as we're doing it. This is important because people in our day and age are doing this for their career, and you could do this if this is something that you're good at and that you enjoy. And oh my gosh, they just come in like, when are we going to have art? When can we work on our stop motion animations? And by the end, we had run out of time, and they just wanted to keep adding to them. So eventually I had to cut them off and be like, okay, we have to stop here because it's June and the school year is over, and now we have to finish our project. But it was a nice blend, because they were coloring and cutting out their characters, and they had to design a background, and then they were also using the iPad as a tool to capture the animation portion of it, and it was just a lot of fun.
Well, and I love the storyboarding part too, because they're thinking about narrative and all of that within it.
Yeah,
so,
they are thinking about being writers at the same time, because they had to write the story. And I found that if I just let them free and let them start, then a lot of them are like, I don't know what to do. I have so many ideas. How do I narrow it down? How do I pare it down to something that I could actually use? So giving them that graphic organizer of, this is my character, and this is the problem, and this is the solution, and this is where it's set, helps them to put it on paper and be able to have it ready to go.
Get 3 acts or whatever.
There you go. Maybe I'll do that next year.
So you use a YouTube channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've noticed one way that you've used it is to showcase student work. You did that with
The animation.
the stop motion
Yeah.
animations, and you've done it with events in the school, but it seems like you've come up with maybe a different use for your YouTube channel this year.
Yes, just in the last few weeks, actually.
Yeah.
So I've started flipping my classroom, which I think I might be doing it a little differently than it's formally supposed to be used, because we're actually doing it all in the classroom. But my understanding of flipping the classroom is that the content or the lesson is delivered digitally, and in the upper levels that means the students can do it at home as part of their assignment, and then you come in and work with the teacher in class, so that way you're able to solve problems with the teacher there beside you. So the way I've started using it is I've delivered the content or the lesson instructions on a video tutorial that I can then email to my students, or they can access it through Seesaw. For the younger grades, it's a little easier to go through Seesaw if they don't know how to check their email. And then once they have access to the video, I've in the tutorial walked out the steps saying, this is your materials that you have, this is what you need to do, and here are the steps to get there. And that way students can work at their own pace, which I found is the best benefit of that, because students so often work at such different paces that I have some students way over here and some students that are nearly done, that this really allows them to work at their own pace, pause it, go back.
Yeah.
It's like the ideal differentiation tool, pretty much. Like, if a student can have it right there in front of them, it's visual, it's auditory, they can see the written instructions on the video, and they can pause it and go at their own speed, which is just awesome. And so far we're still working out kinks. I'm figuring out how to be a little more succinct in my videos and be much more clear, because I tend to ramble. But
I have the same problem. Yeah.
but so far it's been just really amazing how they've come in and they've been immediately engaged.
Yeah.
Like, lots of management problems kind of disappear, and I think the students have been enjoying using their computers. They feel so grown up if they have to check their email and get to that link through their email. They love that part. And then of course they want to go and email all of their friends, but we talk about staying on task.